Afternoon, everyone. I'm going to give you a quick run through of some technology that we're trialling this year for our farm water access plan audits. So TI, as most of you might know, develop and operate irrigation schemes across Tasmania, and our schemes all go through EPBC approvals and operate under the Water Management Act. So farm water access plans, or farm WAPs, were designed to meet compliance requirements and be in a manner that was actually accessible to our irrigators. They kind of bring together a lot of different regulations, guidelines, codes of practice, and best practice methodology. And they also have a component of farm mapping and talk about the future possibilities and limitations for the property. But our main focus is on how TI water could impact soil, biodiversity and water. So to ensure compliance, both the irrigators and ourselves, we have an audit program in place. So there are three categories of audits. We have our random audits, that's 10 to 15% of our water users are audited each year. So that's the predominant area. We also run MNES audits, so matters of national environmental significance, where they could be impacted on a farm WAP. And so they get every year that those farm WAPs are irrigated with TI water, and triggered audits where we actually have someone's observed some non-compliance. But most of our audits are those random ones. So that's kind of the focus of this. We've been auditing now for 6 years in quite a traditional method. So we would take the farm WAP, we wrote our audit criteria and our audit plan from that. We'd go out there, pen and paper, write it all down, then on our maps, highlight the areas, and then once we got back to the office, then we had to type all that up, go through the whole mapping process using ArcMap, as well as running all our water calculations and sometimes having to tee back and forth again with our irrigators. So we wanted to find a way that was going to kind of shortcut that a little bit for us. So that was time consuming, and it also meant you had to have people with certain skill sets. And we didn't really have a central repository for our data. So we also kind of had a bit of a issue, and we wanted to pull up scheme-wide assessment data from years back. So our main aims was to trial a system that could improve our compliance outcomes and consistency, both of the audits between auditors and across different audit seasons. It needed to handle quite a few different question types, allow for easy mapping and compatibility with the system that we already had in place, have some way of centralising our data, to work on and offline. A lot of our farms are out of reception. We needed it to be simple to learn, both for ourselves but also for future people coming online and doing the auditing. So therefore, increasing accessibility. And we needed it to decrease the cost to our irrigators. The less time we spend typing, mapping, saves them money per megalitre, and it also couldn't be a system that was going to cost us more to put in place. So after a couple of different things we looked at, we ended up with Survey 123 and Collector, which are both Esri apps and available on the App Store. Any iPad, iPhone can run them really easily. Survey 123 itself can't handle much spatial data. It can only handle one location point. Can't handle polygons at all, whereas Collector's really great with spatial data, polygons, but when it comes to questions, it's quite brief what you can actually really put in. But because they're both done by Esri, it was actually really quite easy to connect those two apps. So our questions are in Survey 123, which links through to Collector for our spatial data. And both of those can be pre-downloaded onto our iPads or our iPhone before the audit, so if you're out of reception, it all still works. I'll run you through how the system kind of works. So this is the kind of portal on the web. You just take these questions and you drag them over into the order that you want them, type in what your question, what your answers were, if you've got like yes, no, or other things you might want to ask, which is extremely easy to use. You can keep altering it, but you just save and publish, and then it looks like this on an iPad. As you can see, we've got a couple of different types. So we've got some multiple choice here. We have yes, no's, we've got short answer, we've got long answer. We can also take a photo within the app and automatically it will come up there. Or if you've taken a photo already, you can then import it just using the file system. And collector, wherever you've got these blue links, you click on that and that brings us up and loads up collector straight away for us. You can download all of these maps, choose your map extent and the scale. So it will start you off at where you've downloaded or to the state, the whole state. Choosing which layers you want to have loaded is really easy and it doesn't take very long to sort that side of things out. Once you've scrolled into the property that you're going to audit, you tap on it and it brings up a whole heap of information. So all the information from our farm WOPs that's been entered into the GIS system is actually there accessible on Collector. You scroll down to audit new, area new or point new if you just want to point. And drawing an area is as simple as tapping, and you just tap around whatever shape it is that you're aiming for. Obviously squares and rectangles, nice and easy, but even doing pivots and odd-shaped paddocks isn't too particularly difficult either. It also automatically calculates your area for you, which has been extremely handy. You can just do quick little maths. 160 megs over 90 hectares is less than 2 megs a hectare, which for cereals is quite a standard irrigation rate. Once you've finished your audit and you hit send, it goes to our dashboard, so that's accessible on the web anywhere you are. Has a bit of a run through, but you can also export either CSV, Excel, KML, and shapefiles and file geodatabase. So once you've exported those, you can put it into Excel, run a mail merge, and this is just a little snapshot of one of our audit reports. So that's just been filled out from the things that were typed in that original audit. And you also run the file geodatabase and you get, this comes up through. This is a data-driven page, so you don't even have to fiddle around with the labels or anything like that. That just comes up automatically for you. You might want to do some tweaks depending on what it is you've written. So there's been some learnings, as with any new process that you're trialling. If you want more information, happy to help people through. Definitely you can change who owns the survey and therefore who has editing rights and things like that. Just make sure you follow the processes correctly. If you're a low-level GIS user, we had a couple had issues with editing a submitted survey. So just don't submit until, because it saves drafts, just until you're definite sure that you've answered everything. We've still got the same problem we had before with importing photos to Word. You still have to find the file and drag it in rather than just being able to import directly. And we want to work a little bit more on making sure we've got a significant amount of data. We're used to, writing a page per question kind of thing. And obviously, it's a little bit shorter now. So, here we go. So the future, what's up next? We are going to conduct a bit of a review after we've trialled the system this year. And there's definitely room for us to do some improvements. We're also going to set up some user manuals, so it's nice and easy for us and future staff to be able to update and undertake the audits. And one of the really great outcomes from this has been getting the scheme operators more involved. Several of them have actually got really interested in the farm WOPs and the auditing side of things, so they've now want to become certified auditors and want to go on some of the other audit types we do as well. And we're going to hopefully be able to use this data more easily now to inform our risk-based approaches where we can for our scheme-wide monitoring, which will then have ongoing improvements for our compliance opportunities and efficiencies. If you've got any questions, happy to answer now, or you can email me or drop me a line when it suits you. On the bell.
I have one quick question for you. How did you decide to go with Survey 123, and did you consider any other vendors?
Yeah. So we looked at quite a few different options. Because those are done by Esri, it's easy for it to work in with our ArcMap system. We did look at a few others, but we didn't find any that were quite met as all of those requirements that we had.
Oh, down here, Ross.
Do you have a big database, or when you hit send, does it send to the cloud and go to the database, or it just goes to an Esri database?
So we've got quite a complex GIS database within TI, but in the past that's only been what we've mapped writing back in the office. Now all of that data can actually be accessed through that, but it's also going to be within Excel documents rather than originally it's been in Word documents. So when we've needed to, we've still got the answers there, but we're pulling it out of 200 odd Word docs instead of having one Excel table, which makes a big difference. Oh, there's a question up there.
What are the main things being audited in a water access plan? So what would make a farm comply or not?
Yeah,
What's the key?
That's awesome. Great question. So there's kind of about 25 main audit criteria we have. All TI irrigation water must be used within a farm WAP area and only stored in approved dams. So that's probably the kind of main thing that we definitely need everyone to be doing. But then we go on through making sure that the irrigation rates are suitable for the crop type and the land suitability, that waterways have been buffered from irrigation, chemical use and fertiliser application, that all records of those applications are present. And it goes on to the specifics of the property as well. So if there's specific biodiversity, are those trees still there? Have you done any clearing? Have you done any fencing? And have you done any native plantings and things like that, which is generally a lot of our irrigators are actually going above and beyond where they've got to be compliance-wise.
We'll thank Cassandra.